doing fine. It's a little fine.
Namaste, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to the Way Om Yoga. My name is Sarah, and today we are going to be doing a chair yoga flow dedicated to the frequency of sensuality. Now, I know that that's a word that can often become misconstrued or hijacked, so to speak, in today's society. But for me, what sensuality really is just the frequency that we need to embody in order to experience pleasure and present moment awareness. I'll say that again. So sensuality is the frequency that allows us to experience pleasure and present moment awareness. So that's what we're going to do today. And for all of you watching right now, regardless of how you identify, regardless of your gender, we can all benefit from more hip mobility, hip flowing movement, tapping into the lower chakras. So I want to encourage you, no matter who you are, this class is for everybody, okay? So if this sounds appealing to you, I want you to grab a chair and meet me on your mat. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to turn my chair this way just to begin. So I find that it's easier to see what I'm doing here from this angle. And what we're going to do first is just sit at the very, very edge of our seat here. So coming to the edge of our seat, feeling fully rooted and planted through the feet. And all I'm going to have you do is visualize your pelvis or your hips like a bowl. So if we tip the bowl forward, right, so an anterior tilt, notice that my tailbone is sticking out just slightly, and then there's this natural curve of my spine, that S curve, okay? So that's that forward tilt. Alternatively, if we tip the bowl back, notice that I'm tucking in my tailbone in just a little bit here, and the lower back starts to round. So I want you to play around with the difference of those two movements. So on an inhale, let's go ahead and take that anterior tilt. Exhale, we'll reverse. Inhale, anterior tilt. Exhale, reverse. Inhale. And exhale. And it's a very small movement, right? It's a very micro movement. But it's important to know the difference, right? Where your pelvis is located at any point in time, especially when we're doing yoga, when we're working out, it's important to recognize proper placement of the pelvis, but also just to tap into this region and isolate it, right? All right, let's go ahead and add on to this. So we're gonna flow through a couple rounds of cat and cow pose. So taking this pelvic tilt, but also adding on the spinal mobility, okay? So go ahead and bring your hands to the tops of your thighs. And then on an inhale, notice that I'm still keeping that anterior tilt of the pelvis, but my heart and chest is gonna come forward. So that's cow pose. Exhale, let's dome through the spine, reverse all that, tucking the pelvis in for cat. And we'll just alternate between the two, going at your own pace. And as I was practicing this on my own, I kind of found just like a natural flow, like my body was creating a wave. So if you want to do that too, if you want to make this more expressive, right, a little bit more sensual, really feeling fully aware, fully present in your body, you are welcome to do that. Good, let's go for a couple more rounds. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Last one, inhale, good job. And exhale. Beautiful. Let's come back up to the very edge of our seat here, and we're going to add on from here, friends. So on your next inhalation, what I'm going to have you do is step your feet just a little bit wider, about mat distance apart will be fine. And what we're going to do is just take the body around, so going towards the right wall to start. And this could be very small, right? This could be a very micro movement, controlled action, but it can also be big and expressive, right? So using your breath to guide you, and I'm definitely feeling this in the obliques, I'm feeling this through the side of my body, also in my low back. And you can make this bigger, right? If the body allows it, if the body permits, really just taking your time. Nice. Beautiful. And then from here, let's go ahead and reverse that. So we'll go in the opposite direction this time, so towards the left wall. And notice I'm just really articulating every movement, using strength, using control, but still in flow in my body. Good. Couple more rounds like this. And again, you could take these as slow as you'd like. Nice. Beautiful. We'll go ahead and come back up through center. Well done. And now from here, let's take this over into some twists. So on your next inhale, let's go ahead and take the left arm and cross over the right side of the body here, using the back of your seat to support you here as we come into a twist. So resetting the spinal column. I love taking twists for this reason. Spine is nice and long. Good. And then we'll take this on the other side. So on your next inhale, we'll cross the right arm over this time, using the back end of your chair to support you. And breathing. Spine is nice and long. Good. Excellent. Let's come back to center. Now for this next part of class, I'm going to be facing forward towards the front of the room here. So I'm going to readjust my chair. All right, so this next set of poses is not really a specific type of yoga pose. I just called this one low-hanging fruit because the way that we reach up and overhead and grab, it just reminds me of like reaching up for low-hanging fruit, like an apple. It could be anything that you want, actually. So on your next inhalation, let's go ahead and reach up and overhead. Good, and then reach and pull back. So getting into the side of the body, getting into the intercostal space. So these muscles that line the rib cage, getting into the low back. And I find that moving like this as well helps me to mitigate any type of like shallow breathing. So if I'm having poor posture and I'm not getting like the biggest, deepest breath possible, I love coming to exercises like this, where I can get into the side of the body. I could take a deeper bottom belly breath. I have a little bit more space in the rib cage. All right. Excellent. Let's go ahead and come back up through center. Well done. And now from here, we're going to take the stance just a little bit wider here. We're going to come into extended side angle pose. So with the feet kind of pointed out at an angle here, I'm going to take my left forearm to the top of the left thigh. I'm going to reach up and overhead to the opposite wall, coming into extended side angle pose. We'll hold for the inhale and exhale. Good. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and switch sides this time. So coming into extended side angle, opposite side, holding for the inhale and exhale. Beautiful. Let's go through this a couple more times. So your next inhale will reach up and overhead. Exhale settles you into the posture. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, we'll settle in. Good. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, settle in. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, settle in. Well done. Let's go ahead and come back up through center. We'll bring the legs back together here, and then why don't we go ahead and wrap up the class with some pigeon pose. So let's cross that right ankle over the left thigh, shall we? And you can make this as deep. You can make this really any way that you would like. So if you want to bring your hands forward, one hand on top of the thigh, one hand to the foot, that's fine. If you want to grab onto the chair for support, some of you may be able just to kind of hang out and dangle over the tops of the legs here. So it's really just up to you what you need today. Good, and just breathing into that hip space. All right, we'll hold here for one more inhale, friends. And exhale. Very good. On your next inhalation, let's go ahead and come back up to seated. Exhale, we'll set that leg down. Let's take this over on the opposite side this time. Pigeon pose. And again, any degree of movement here. And just simply adjust accordingly. We'll stay here for one more inhalation, friends. Exhale, let that go. Beautiful. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and come back up to seated. We'll uncross the legs here. And then from here, friends, let's go ahead and make our way to the edge of our seat. We'll close off our practice together. Let's sweep the arms up and overhead. Let's go ahead and draw the hands together. And then using the thumbs, we'll bring the hands to the third eye, to the chin, and to the heart center. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have been better able to tap into that energy, that frequency of sensuality, present moment awareness. If you are enjoying my content, I would love it if you would like and subscribe to The Way Om, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Until next time, namaste.